All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the first post-Memorial Day, that's easy for me to say, the first post-Memorial Day Malzberg panel. And joining us on said panel, Jessica Tarlov, Democratic political consultant, political strategist at Douglas Schoen, LLC, and her nemesis, Ford O'Connell, Republican strategist, political analyst, and author of Hail Mary, the 10-step playbook for Republican recovery. All right, folks, let's start with the news that broke just a little while before we hit air. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, Federal Appeals Court, upholding the lower court ruling. The Justice Department went to court, tried to get that lower court ruling overturned. The ruling which said that the Obama immigration executive order was unconstitutional, Ford, was upheld by this Court of Appeals.
Yes, and it was a good ruling because their basic legal argument is that President Obama's basically operating outside the scope of his authority, so they sided with the states. One other interesting argument that the states made was, had they actually followed President Obama's directive, it would actually cost the states more when it's the federal government's job to be doing a lot of this stuff. So this is something that it could make its way to the Supreme Court, but as of today, the Fifth Circuit saved the Republicans' keister once again.
And Jessica, you know, this is a Justice Department and an administration that has lost something like, at the Supreme Court level, by 9-0 counts, about 13 cases, or at least 12 cases over the years. And here, this executive order, which Hillary, by the way, says doesn't go far enough, has been deemed unconstitutional by yet another court.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's
well,
going to be
what happened.
Well, we know what happened, but we don't know what's going to happen. And the fight is not over. But this probably will be kicked down the road, or you kick the can down the alley. I don't know.
Down the road.
We're kicking it down the road or down to the border, and it'll become the next president's issue, I would imagine, by the end. But Ford's completely right. I think this will make it to the Supreme Court. I'm hopeful that they'll rule in favor with President Obama on this, that this wasn't a constitutional overreach. But
they won't rule in favor of President Obama at the Supreme Court level, because essentially he's saying his legal argument is, I am trying to fix a broken system, and they're saying that that's not a legal argument. What you are doing here is you're creating new laws, not modifying said laws in place. So with a 5-4 Republican majority, I find it very hard for him to succeed at the Supreme Court level.
I mean, that's completely possible. It's a totally fair argument. We'll have to see what happens in the end. What I would say, though, is I wonder what is going to happen to these people. I mean, we're going to continue with the deportations, but you're not going to get everybody out. So what is the Republican answer for these 11 million people who are here and who want to work and participate in the American economy?
Well, let the Americans who are here who can't get jobs first work and participate in the American economy before the illegals who broke the law.
Not all of them broke the law. I mean, a lot of them are here.
They're here illegally.
But a lot of them are here through no fault of their own. A lot of people came with their parents.
Actually, they are. Some of them are here.
Some of them are, but not all of them. I mean, you lump them all into this pot.
There are a lot of ambulance-chasing immigration lawyers who've been pushing this and exploiting the laws. I follow this issue very closely, and I'm just going to tell you a significant number of them take advantage of lax laws, and they've known this as soon as President Obama was toying around with this in 2011. So that's not true. Stop using the emotional argument through no fault of their own. People want to be here, and if they want to be here, it's through a fault of their own, because that was a choice they made.
But it wasn't a choice that they made for all of them. What about the children of people who made that choice? Who grew up here, who went through our school system?
You mean the children of people who said, you know what, I've got lax laws, and if I take you to the United States,
you really think that's what it is, that people who come to this country just come here to take advantage? You don't think that they're escaping?
Yes, a lot of them do. Because if you've seen where they come from, I'd take advantage of it too if I were in Ecuador.
Ford, you would never break the law.
That's right.
But you are breaking the law. And the other problem that I have with Democrats is you have no interest in securing this border. So even if I give you all 12 million people, which is probably what's going to happen here, I have done nothing to stop the next wave of people doing this, because they know they can take advantage of the law.
In fact, you put up a neon sign. Ford, you put up a neon sign that says it works. Come on over illegally. We're coming back. Killings in Baltimore and Chicago. And wait till you hear about Manhattan. Don't go away. All right, folks, we welcome back the panel. Jessica Tarlov is here, Ford O'Connell. Over Memorial Day weekend in the great city of Baltimore, that great Democrat-run city of Baltimore, violence, and more violence. 29 people shot, 9 people dead. That's over the weekend. You want to try Chicago? Chicago had it even worse. Chicago had, and I have it here, somewhere. I know I do. I think it was over 40 shootings. 12 killed and 43 wounded in Memorial Day weekend shootings. And then if you look at Manhattan, right here in the borough we're in, New York City, murder rate up 45% over last year now that we have a hard left Democrat mayor. You know, let's focus on Baltimore for a second, Jessica. They're saying, oh, the cops aren't policing. And why should, I mean, they should do what they're sworn to do. But what if they had to shoot one of these people? And what if they didn't know he had a gun until afterward? Or what if it turned out he didn't have a gun? And maybe, you know, I mean, why should they put themselves through all this when nobody there supports them?
Right. I mean, listen, I completely agree with you that we need to support our police officers far more than we do in all cities across America. I mean, there's a major problem going on right now, and we've certainly seen it in our home here in New York City, and I think a lot of that is de Blasio's fault, and I think that Bratton has done the best that he can, but they certainly did not carry on the tradition that Ray Kelly had and Mike Bloomberg in terms of great relationships with the NYPD. But I think that placing blame is not the right way to go, especially when we're talking about, you know, loss of human life here. I mean, yes, these are Democrat-run cities, but we're talking about people here, and these Democrats are going to be in charge for the next few years, and we need to think about what policies we can put in place to make sure that it is safe out there for civilians and for police officers.
I don't totally disagree with you when it comes to Baltimore. Cannot speak to communist de Blasio and Rahm Emanuel. But when it comes to Baltimore,
Rahm
understand
Emanuel is so far from a communist.
Hold on. When it comes to Baltimore, understand in May that this is going to be the first 30-plus homicide month in the last 8 years, okay? And this is not just going on in eastern Baltimore, which is controlled by the gangs. This is going on throughout Baltimore. And the problem here is that the city leaders did not back up the cops. They threw them to the wolves, and now they're only doing what we call, when I was in the DA's office, passive policing, which is basically answering 911 calls. Baltimore's at risk, and the city leaders are to blame, not the police department. In fact, even the police chief is to blame in Baltimore as well.
Absolutely. And in Chicago, speaking of Rahm Emanuel, whether he's a communist or not, Jessica, one of his answers is we need more gun control. Gun control doesn't take the guns out of the hands of the bad guys. Gun control takes the hands out of the guns out of the hands of people who could defend themselves with guns.
No.
No?
Just no. I mean, we need this country. 90% of Americans support more extensive gun control.
Jessica, if that were true, then after what happened in Connecticut when those kids were killed, there would have been legislation passed the next day.
Look at the numbers. The NRA is the most powerful special interest group in this country.
It's not even considered.
They bullied legislators.
It's not a Fort, am I right that the reason it's not even talked about anymore is because Americans in record numbers, the most in 20 years, favor the right to own guns rather than more gun control?
Yes, in fact, Americans' positions on guns haven't changed since 1980. If anything, they've become actually more pro-gun. And frankly, when you ban a black market good, all you're allowing the criminals to do is to have more access to it and less protection of the home and person. And frankly, Jessica, even with all the gun regulations in Chicago, it's still the murder capital of the country, and it's been that way for the last 15 years. So basically, all Democratic policies on controlling the Second Amendment have not worked.
All right, if we can, very quickly, if we could go to 70, well, I don't know what number it is. The Democrat Party over the weekend tweeted out a Memorial Day tweet that showed a picture of Barack Obama. They said, Happy Memorial Day, and they had a picture of Barack Obama eating an ice cream cone. And to make matters worse, there it is, okay? That's what they tweeted out. That's what Memorial Day, Jessica, is to the Democrat Party. And then they followed up with skip the next one and go to the one after that. Then they tweeted out, celebrate Memorial Day with 15% off our entire line in our online store. Jessica?
Not good. I mean, it is not something that I would have done. It's not what Memorial Day is about. I mean, the president himself was speaking at Arlington Cemetery earlier in the day. I think it was a mistake. I think most Democrats would tell you that it was a mistake, and that's all I have to say about it.
Fort? Poor taste, ego-driven Obama-led Democratic Party. The point is, they don't want to show at war. They don't want to discuss a world war. They don't want to say we have 10,000 in Afghanistan, 3,000 in Iraq, and airstrikes going on around the world. Bottom line is, they're trying to take their eye off the ball because the one thing they don't want to talk about is war and foreign policy, and this is basically how they subliminally did that.
All right, Jessica, Ford, as always, great. We'll talk to you both again very soon. Thank you very much. And folks, as you know, we've brought back our viewer call-in segment here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and if you want to participate, you have to reach out to us first. So you do that by sending us your name and date, time, phone number where we could reach you to the following email address. Call Steve callsteve@newsmax.com. That's right, just send an email to callsteve@newsmax.com, and we want to talk to you. Mark Morano of climatedepot.com is next.